The OP1 8K from Endgame Gear is one of the most hyped mice of this year. It was sold out almost everywhere when I wanted to order one, and there was only one store in Poland called Ace Gear that had a few of these left in stock. And the hype is for a good reason. You get a wired mice with up to 8000 Hz polling rate with perfect build quality and performance out of the box just for a 75 euros, which is an insane value for a gaming mice. This might be my first wired mice after a couple of years on wireless, as I have been mostly playing on wireless mices from like 2020, and I have been only switching to my wired Logitech G Pro when I started to have issues with my GPX. Out of the box, the mice feels itself very nice, and the build quality is perfect on my unit. The coating feels very premium, I'd say. It feels like rubberized coating, but it feels more of like a matte finish, almost like if it is not slippery when my hands are dry or when they get sweaty. I still get that very nice locked in feeling when using these mice with this coating. So I think, in my opinion, it is safe to say that you should be able to use it without putting any anti-slip grips on it. Perfectly fine. And if you would be down to use some, you just can use those that come in the box with the mice. The main switches in this are Kyle GX, and from my experience, these are one of the nicest stock switches out of the box. They feel very crispy and they give very defined click experience, and in their software you can change it into a GX speed mode for a very low click latency. Also, these switches in the OP1 8K are hot swappable, so you can just open the mice with the included screwdriver that comes in the box with the mice, and on the bottom of the mice there are two screws that are easily accessible without taking off the skates, and the pack of two switches cost like 7 euro, or you can get a universal switch set for 20 euros, which contains a set of 14 switches and a set of 2 switch PCBs. Not to say that these are not compatible with the wireless version of the OP1WE, which comes with optical switches. If you would want to swap switches in the OP1WE, you can only swap those that come packed in the box with the OP1WE for a lighter switches. Side buttons feel very nice and crispy and defined, so I don't see any problem with none of those switches in the mice. Felt mushy, and there is basically zero wobble on any of those and very little to no post travel. Always, it makes the main switches of these mice to be one of those fastest clicks on any of these mice that exists right now, which makes the OP1 8K a truly enthusiast mice for anybody who is down to modify his mice, so you can easily get the switches back and swap them out for your liking, especially when it takes a little to no effort by opening the mice with the skate design they put it in. The stock skates feel very nice and premium, and I wouldn't need them to be swapped out. They come pre-installed with these smaller side skates. Also in the box they include these larger type skates, so you will have more contact surface if it's something you prefer over the smaller skates. Also, they come with those 2 holes on the bottom of the bigger skate, so you won't lose the ease of the access to the screws on the bottom of the mice if you want to open it. The cable itself is braided, and they calling it like a flex cord 5.0. I haven't used any of those third-party paracord cables in past on any of my mices, so I cannot much compare it to anything on the market, but I will say that I didn't have any problems with this cable. It feels nice, flexible while gaming. I barely noticed I was playing on a wired mice, so it was no problem for me to play on a wired mice, which may sound weird after almost everybody switched from wired mices to wireless ones, but I must have to say that having a wired mice isn't a downgrade. I'd say higher polling rate on a mice with a cable that better gets in the way and basically doesn't come any wireless interference, which you might come across on a wireless mice. It's safe to say that you cannot go wrong by using a wired mice whatsoever. Shape of this mice is more to the claw grip users. I wouldn't recommend using it for palm grip if you have medium to large hands, but if you have a smaller hands, maybe that's what you will be liking on this mice. It really has this nice back hump that for my taste is not that high, so when I grip the mice with my relaxed grip and my hand size being 18 by 10 cm, I can feel that most of the contact points with the back of the mice is around my knuckles when I hold it very relaxed, but I can grip it in more of a aggressive way, which makes more contact with the back of my palm, making it feel more secure in my hand. The front of the mice is very flat and very narrow, almost gives me the vibe of my Pulsar X2 when it comes to the sides of the mice, but it being that much narrower, I have to move my fingers slightly closer together compared to the Pulsar X2, which makes it very thin feeling when using the mice. The back of the mice is slightly rounded than on the Pulsar X2, but the OP1 is much a smaller and thinner mice, which still gives me a very comfortable feel and grip, and I didn't come across feeling any pain or tension in my wrist when using it. So it is a very comfortable and safe shape for medium to smaller hands depending on the grip style. I will say that I was most skeptical about getting the OP1 with the front of the mice being so thin, but it turned out to be very comfortable experience while using it. If you prefer a wider and more relaxed feeling, this might not be the best suit for you. The software that comes with the OP1 8K that you can download at Endgame Gear website is simple and minimalistic. You can find there basically everything you will need, from changing polling rate, DPI, LOD settings. You can change X and Y to a different DPI settings if that is your preferred style. In advanced settings, you can turn on motion sync, slam click filter, if you example like slam your mice against a table when doing fast flicks. On low sense in like tag FPS games, you can change the filter on any of the mice buttons, and for main clicks you can turn on the STTDGX speed mode or save mode, or you can completely turn it off. You will also find a firmware update on their website as well, which you have to download separately. My only downside on this mice has to be the scroll wheel. The feel of it doesn't bother me at all. It's being slightly loud, almost like it has nice and defined steps, but they are not that noticeable as I had on the Zoe mice, which are more loud and clicky. But the problem with my scroll wheel feels like there is something loose. It doesn't make sound when I shake the mice, but I can hear and feel when I'm constantly scrolling with the scroll wheel, especially if I use slightly more force on the scrolling. There is that kind of like a grinding sound to it, and when I tap on the scroll wheel, it feels kind of springy, like there is a spring underneath the scroll wheel, and I can feel it slightly vibrating in the mouse shell. Maybe it's the middle mouse button, but the scroll wheel and the middle mouse button works fine. And I have talked this with guys from Ace Gear, and they offered me that I can still return the mice, so I will probably be returning it back to them so they can check in person what is going on. I still feel it might be either the encoder or the mouse button being wrong. In conclusion, I really love what Endgame Gear is doing nowadays, making their mices more premium and accessible to everyone, and I only hope to see from them the best. It will be great to see if they will update their XM2 lineup, especially that wireless version of it. Also the OP1WE, the wireless version, because the only downside for me from ordering the mice, it was the stock switches in the main mouse buttons and the 3D70 sensor, which is not an issue for me personally, but if you are looking for higher polling rate in your mice, you will probably end up going for the OP1 8K. There have been already made communities with fans of these mice. For example, on Steam, there is like a OP1 8K community, and I just love to see when the company really care about their customers, and to see how their customers are so happy and hyped for their products. So it ends up being sold out almost everywhere in just a couple of days or weeks, and it just brings joy to the community with the company that just care enough to bring such a premium mouse for everyone. Me personally, for my grip style, the mice is a little thin for my liking. I really like that very relaxed feeling when I'm holding a mice, but that is not a downside to this mice itself. It's just my weird grip style and hand size. Overall, you cannot go wrong with a wired 50-gram OP1 8K that is perfect in any aspect, such as light switches, very premium coating, and such an easily accessible bottom of the mice so you can upgrade it to your liking, even just by switching to a different switches. It's just all such a pleasurable experience and you will be happy with it. Especially it being a great performing mice under €100. Also, the bottom of the mice there is a mode switch for changing DPI in 4 different stages and a small LED indicator which telling you on which DPI settings you are. A little Easter egg: when you lift the mice, the LED turns on. So it is not a constant light, so you won't notice it. It won't be lighting on your mousepad when you lift the mice, but keep in mind that this only works when the LOD is set to a 1mm. On 2mm the light will stay off, and if you lift the mice it won't be lighting. If you enjoy this type of content and you don't want to miss any new review on this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel. You can also follow me on Twitter. You will find a link into the video description. There I post more stuff related to the mice and peripherals, so you can also be informed there about what next review could be. Have a beautiful day and peace out.